You can use decals in your game to overlay objects with a texture. For example, this can be bullet holes in a wall or a graffiti. Let's take a look on how to create decals in Unity. First of all, create a new empty game object. I will call mine Decal Projector. Now, add a new component, type in URP Decal, and select URP Decal Projector. Now we have a Decal Projector which is projecting nothing because it is behind our wall. We have to move it in front of it, and then we see a white rectangle being projected. This behaves like a sticker on the geometry. We can move it around, we can rotate it, and the changes are reflected by the projection. Of course, we don't want a white rectangle but a custom texture. For this, we need to create a new decal material. Go into your assets folder and select Create Material. I will call mine just Decal Material. We need to select the correct shader. For this, go into Shader section, go to Shader Graphs and select Decal. This shader accepts the base map, which is basically the texture for our decal. I created a simple white smudge texture. Make sure to select the appropriate transparency settings if your decal needs transparent areas. Now select the material and drag the texture into the base map section of the shader. Select the decal projector and drag the newly created material into the material section of this component. You can see that the correct texture is now displayed on our wall. But remember that our texture was transparent. The white rectangle should not be there. This is a wrong setting in the decal material. Let's take a look at our material settings to fix that. You can see that we have a normal blend value of 0.5. This is wrong because we currently don't have any normal map for our decal texture selected. For now, just set the value to 0. Now you can see that the image is correctly projected. As the video title suggests, we want to add some colors to this. Sadly, the default decal material shader does not support colors, so we have to edit it. Select the material, go to Edit in the upper right corner. Now the shader is opened in Shader Graph and we can edit it. Add a new node by pressing with the right mouse, selecting Create Node, enter a color in the search box, double click on color. Now we have a color input field. We want to combine that with the base map texture. For that, create a new node, enter multiply, select math, basic, multiply, and drag the output of the color and the sample texture nodes into the multiply box. Then the output of the multiply box has to go in the base color of the fragment field. Now, if you right click the color node, we can go to Convert to and select Property to make it an input of our shader. We can give it a special name like tint, for example. If you go to the graph inspector in the upper right corner and select the newly created input variable, you can also select the default value. Let's change it to white for now. Now, if you save the asset, it will be regenerated again because it is a Unity inbuilt shader. So you have to go on Save As and just save the shader in your assets folder. I will call it Tinted Decal Shader. Go back in your scene, go to your decal material and change the shader again. This time you have to go to Shader Graph and select the custom shader, which I call Tinted Decal Shader. As you can see, we have a new field in the shader called Tint, which is just a color. So if you press on it, the color picker opens. Let's change it to green for now. As you can see, the decal is now green. There is one last thing that I want to show you, which can be useful when you want to add multiple decals with different colors. Let's create a prefab of our decal projector by dragging it down in our assets folder. If you now duplicate the decal projector and move it to the side a bit, changing the color of one decal projector also changes the color of the other decal projector. This seems like weird behavior because in default prefab workflow, Unity copies the material instances for each prefab. For decal projectors, this is not the case, and we have to make it manually from code. Let's go into our decal projector prefab and add a new custom component for it. Let's call it Decal Color Setter. Click on New Script, create an add, and now we have the script in our assets folder. Let's drag it in the correct directory though. Let's open the script in our code editor. We can remove the update method a comment in the beginning. In the start method, we want to get an instance on the Decal projector in this component. For this, we use getComponent of type Decal projector. Now we have a reference to the Decal projector component. To fix the problem with the material, we have to access the Decal projector.material variable and create a new material where we put in the same reference, so Decal projector.material. What this line of code does is recreating the material, getting the original reference, and wrapping it in a new material reference. This allows us to change the colors individually. Let us test that by assigning a random color to the projector after that. To change the color, access the material variable and call setColor. The first parameter is the name of our color variable. I called it tint, but the reference usually gets an underscore. We can check that in Unity, and we open the shader graph. And when we select the tint variable, we see in the graph inspector that the reference has actually an underscore. Now we can pass the color that we want in a second argument. Let's take a random color by calling random.color HSV from 0 to 1, which just gets a random color with full saturation. Let's run the project. As you can see, both projectors have different colors. We can run it again, and they will have two different random generated colors, but they are separately from another. For this behavior to work in the editor, I did not find a better way than just recreating the material multiple times. If you know a better way to do this, please let me know in the comments. If you have any questions or anything you want me to make a video on, please also drop a comment below.